Hell, it has been a year, Alf. How are we doing? It is January 1st, 2025. I'm very late getting today's video out. It's been a wild day, long day for my wife and I. We're traveling around. We were over at our container house that we are just finalizing, a container house build project that we've been working on for a while with my brother-in-law. Excited to be wrapping that up in 2025, kicking the year off strong. Today we've got our 2025 hobby predictions. It's a sports card / trading card hobby predictions video, and we've got some sizzlers. We're throwing some heaters today.
You take the card and put it in the sleeve.
Make sure you stick around. What's going on, sports card hobby family? Before I dive into today's topics, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com. 40+ million cards in the database, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, non-sports, entertainment cards, all sorts of goodness. You can grade cards through PSA and SGC, CGC. You can shoot them off to auction. The easiest site to buy and sell trading cards on the planet. Check out my links down below in the video description as well as the pinned comments to take you to COMC. Also, Just Collect, justcollect.com. You've got a collection that you want to sell, you have no idea what it's worth, and you're like, man, how could I very easily on a website find out? There is an easy appraisal form on the justcollect.com website. Also, go to the Just Collect YouTube channel. Leighton Sheldon has a lot of educational videos talking about different collections he's picking up, cards, educate you on all sorts of different vintage cards. Card Capsule, you want great supplies, but you don't want to pay a fortune for them. Make sure to check out, again, my links down below in the video description. It's all the hobby discounts you can need. Card Capsule, cases, top loaders, semi-rigids, all of that stuff. Don't miss out in 2025. Make sure that you're locked and loaded for supplies. All right, prediction number one. Even though I thought maybe, 2024 there would be a turning point in our little hobby here, I still have a really bullish outlook on overall participation. Now, what does that mean for individual card prices? I'm not sure. I mean, look, there's a zillion different cards, different sets, different, sports, non-sports entertainment cards, and they're all kind of going up and down and doing their own thing. They're all in their own individual market. So the whole idea of being able to choose I wonder if trading cards are going to do well in 2025 from a price perspective. It's all going to depend on what kind of cards we're talking about. Especially when we look at modern, ultra-modern cards, it's usually pretty typical for active players to see the dips because you do have injuries. You do have, weird stuff that happens off the court or off the field or whatever. You've got new products that might come out and then end up being stale. Then maybe they're hot for a couple of months and then they just kind of, go down from there. So these are all typical hobby things that are always going to happen. And that will be no different in 2025, but I'm talking about card show attendance, overall participants as far as collectors, speculators, investors in this space. I don't think that that's dropping off at all in 2025. I think that there is a bullish outlook for overall participation. Now, something we've seen from Fanatics Topps, I would say more Fanatics Topps than Panini over the last year and a half, 2 years. Some unique and kind of creative marketing stuff that they've come out. A little gimmicky, very gimmicky, actually. One gimmick or invention, if you will, that I think is going to stick moving forward are the debut patch autographs. Basketball is now going to be fully licensed next year. So you've got Topps Chrome, or not next year, but this year. We'll have Topps Chrome Basketball will come out, and it will be fully licensed through Topps in 2025. And in 2026, it's going to be the NFL products as well. But for now, we'll have Topps Chrome Basketball. There's going to be a boatload of buzz around that product. However, I think that collectors are smartening up. They're going to be a little bit more picky, and they're not necessarily going to fall for gimmicks like the John Elway baseball card, autograph type stuff. That's not going to get anyone's attention. To be honest, I don't know if that really got a lot of people's attention this year, but especially as we move forward, I think that collectors / speculators / investors in this space are going to get a little numb to the gimmicks. The same goes really for bounties as well. Anytime you have too much of something, if there's just always a bounty out for everything, all the new products, I think that people just get desensitized to it and just maybe don't care. I think that it almost has the opposite effect. A well-timed bounty, I'm sure, can get attention. You know, you've got, for example, there's a Prism bounty out. The owner of Reddit put out a $200,000 bounty for the Jaden Daniels 1/1 Black Finite, and then Patrick Ryan put out a competing bounty of $250,000. That stuff is going to happen, but card companies trying to come up with gimmicks and that sort of a thing, they're going to have to get really creative, and it's going to have to be really kind of worth their while, because I think that collectors, especially given the expense of new product, nothing is cheap. You know, nothing is cheap out there. And so I think that collectors are going to be more picky around the gimmicky stuff. I think Topps Fanatics are going to have to come up with something that's got a little bit more meat on the bone than a John Elway baseball card autograph. Also, just going back to Topps Chrome being fully licensed in 2025, I think basketball cards in general get a jolt. Of course, it depends on the players and all that. And look, and even though I know the NBA viewership is down and this and that and the other thing, I still think basketball cards as a whole, people are going to be excited, whether it's the current players that are playing now or just going back in time. I just have a hunch. I think that basketball cards are going to be popular, just given that shift over to Topps fully licensed basketball cards. And on that note, I don't think it's limited to just NBA. I think, and I've actually bought some cards to see if I'm right on this, that there's going to be heavy WNBA card speculation. The thing with Caitlin Clark, I didn't understand it either until I actually got into this. I know a lot of people will say like, hey guys, like nobody cares about WNBA basketball. And all I will say is watch Caitlin Clark, watch a few games with her, just watch some of the highlights. There is something about Caitlin Clark. There's an it factor there that is different. I know there's a lot of great players in the WNBA, so you know, we're not talking about all the other players. It's okay for her to be on the Time magazine on her own without having the entire WNBA on it. It's like the dumbest stuff. All of the stupidness that the WNBA has come out with, not being able to handle at all the media attention and the superstardom of Caitlin Clark coming into that league, it's comical. But WNBA cards in general, you've got fairly limited releases through Panini. Select just came out a couple of months ago. Prism is going to be big. It's going to come out in January, and I think in the next few weeks. But I'm very, very curious to see what that checklist looks like and the response from collectors. Are people going to dive into it? I mean, look, a Caitlin Clark card sold a month or two ago for $235,000. A 1/1 sticker auto, I think it was a gold vinyl, select. It sold for over $200,000. And she's had many sales in the 5 figures. You know, so this isn't like some one-off, oh, there's a weird, like, oh, this one person's trying to manipulate Caitlin Clark cards. Her cards are expensive. So very curious to see, not just with NBA basketball, but WNBA. I think there's going to be a lot of speculation leading up to that season. I'm speculating on some of that stuff. We'll see what happens. Panini and Topps, haven't really heard much about those lawsuits. And I remember when they were first filed, there was a timeline that Paul Lesko did on Twitter for all these different things with these lawsuits. And it was like 3 years long. It was like these eternal lawsuits. And now that all these licenses are moving over, there's basketball in 2025 and then the NFL in 2026, you kind of wonder like, what's the point of the lawsuits? And so I'm curious to see like, do the lawsuits go away? Like, what's the actual point if they're going to go ahead and move over to Fanatics? I think we're going to move into a world where Panini's doing their thing and Topps Fanatics, they're doing their own thing. I think Panini's going to sign their own athletes and have kind of, hey, if you want, Caitlin Clark is a Panini athlete. Arch Manning is a Panini signed athlete, and they keep on signing more. They've got Alabama's quarterback. So there's going to be kind of a race. There's going to be a competition for exclusive autograph deals. And Panini's got the money to play in that game. And so that's going to be interesting as we move forward, because I don't see Panini just not making cards anymore. Maybe there is some sort of a last second sale to Fanatics, but there's not really any sort of chatter around that at all. That Panini is going to, okay, yeah, I guess we're just going to sell. I don't know. Like, I think that they're just going to continue to do their thing. Just like Leaf does their thing, Panini will do their thing. Topps Fanatics, they'll have all the licensing. Of course, they're going to dominate, with a lot of their brands. But Panini's got some great brands, and they're just going to continue to make cards. Which leads me into the last prediction. And this is actually more of a hope than a prediction. I want to see an expansion of entertainment cards, culture cards, whatever you want to call it, Rittenhouse, where are you? We're looking directly at you, Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse is such a classic hobby company, made a lot of great cards over the years. On the entertainment side, they're releasing a Cheers set, Cheers with all the different autographs and different things. The one thing that Rittenhouse prides themselves on are on-card autographs. And I know hobby people love their on-card autographs. I know stickers are pretty common nowadays, but the hobby, if they have the preference of on-card autographs, and that's Rittenhouse's thing. They are the company that can really kind of take this entertainment card gap. I think it's a major gap. Whoever can really seize the momentum of pop culture. Look, I mean, we just had ruby red slippers that Judy Garland wore in Wizard of Oz in 1940. They just sold for $32 million. That's the highest paid item in the movie memorabilia world that's ever sold. And you see this, look, there's movie prop stuff, different auctions. This stuff is selling all over the place for huge money. There would be a ton of interest in pop culture cards. You're also looking at the TCG side of the game. Actually, my second channel, Collectibles Dad, over the last couple of weeks, I've really moved into sealed Pokemon cards. Sealed, not the individual cards. I want to buy very specific sealed Pokemon boxes, whether it be booster boxes or 3-pack blisters or whatever it might be. But I'm talking about all of that on the Collectibles Dad channel if you want to check that out. TCG is another part of kind of that entertainment card world that is going absolutely bananas. The world needs more entertainment culture card options. I hope Panini does their tops, but Rittenhouse is the GOAT for these cards, the GOAT company. So Rittenhouse, please expand on your offerings. I know that Cheers set looks really cool. I didn't really watch a lot of Cheers growing up. I watched it some, but there's so many other shows, so many other movie franchises. Let's figure out how to get the licensing for these cards, because man, that would be something. I made a joke on my IG, not really a joke. Look, if you put together an In Living Color set, that's going back with Jamie Foxx, the Wayans brothers, James Carrey. Yes, Jim Carrey got his start on In Living Color, the first major sketch show that he was in. I mean, legends on that show In Living Color. Let's expand that part of the universe, the entertainment card universe. Yeah, Stranger Things cards are cool. Sure, there's tons of Star Wars stuff and, Garbage Pail Kids and these sorts of things. Yeah, but come on. Like, there's so much IP out there. Let's tap into it. All right, my friends, that's all I've got for 2025 hobby predictions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.